Hello, I'm Ken Sisk, and welcome to Wood, Stone, and Steel. I truly hope you are enjoying this three-part series about a very special wood joinery company called Jack Badger out of Old Glossop in the United Kingdom. In episode 1, we took you to the Jack Badger workshop where you saw some of the techniques and methods used in custom wood joinery. We also visited with Austin Neves and Dan Wright of the Quarter-Sawn Oak Company in Edale to see Jack Badger's main supplier of select quarter-sawn English oak. In episode 2, you met with Bob Garlick, who is the primary blacksmith for all of Jack Badger's intricate custom metal hardware. We also had an in-depth interview with wood carvers Rob and Liz. They showed us a few of the projects they were working on, along with some of the custom chisels they work with. In this episode, we will take you on a tour of a recently renovated stately manor house in the Cotswolds. Ben Naylor of Jack Badger describes the details of their custom wood paneled walls, wide plank elm flooring, and hand-carved painted coat of arms. They installed all of these in this majestic property originating from the 11th century. We will also take you to where it all began, the rustic hay barn of Ben's childhood home. Wood, Stone, and Steel will take you on a journey of reconnection with a more natural way of building. We will visit places, buildings, and structures that are primarily made of natural materials throughout the world. In our journey, you will also meet artisans and design professionals who bring beauty, comfort, and familiarity back into our world. Now, let's take a visit to the Cotswolds. The Cotswolds is a very special place in southwest England. It has been designated as an area of outstanding natural beauty. The small villages and towns peppered throughout the Cotswolds have many stone buildings. Most of these structures are made up of the local limestone, which has a distinct golden hue to it. Many of the buildings are 1 to 3 stories tall, so it provides a more human scale setting when walking in these towns. Because of the area's natural beauty, it has been the backdrop for many famous movies and TV series, such as Bridget Jones' Diary, Downton Abbey, Harry Potter, and even Dr. Dolittle. What the heck is a push-me-pull-you?
I don't believe it. It can't be. It's a push-me-pull-you.
I was originally introduced to Jack Badger's work while touring an incredible manor house in the Cotswolds. Phillip Gaches of Gaches Plastering had invited me to view some of the Elizabethan plastering works he had just completed at this stately home. The main hall of the property dates back to the 11th century. So let's talk with Phillip and Ben about the work they crafted for this property. All right, now we're here in the grotesque room, we'll call it, because the Elizabethan plastering in this has a grotesque, I guess, nomenclature. Mm-hmm. Can we describe like what happened? I mean, I see that it looks a little irregular because you were given this room. I guess, was it just wood beams?
Yeah, exactly. And where you see the plaster beam network here, beneath each one of those is a structural timber, but they're all different sizes and at different levels. So our goal was to kind of unify those to a degree, but without becoming too rigid.
Right.
And then to add some ornament to make it a really interesting ceiling. And so the idea of using these kind of rude and semi-rude grotesques evolved, and we did a few tests and trials. And the circle and square pattern on the soffit of the beams is taken and inspired from the fireplace detail
here,
there.
okay.
So try and knit the two together. The remit from the client was that he wanted grotesques in the corners here. The rudest ones where only he could see them from his desk, and then the semi-rude ones where the visitors would come in at the far end.
Okay, well, we will show the audience some of the semi-rude ones,
Yeah.
which should get a flavor of what's going on here. So I guess this will be a couple of good ones over here. So if you can just come over here, we can take a look at some up here as far as the, what would you call it? Humorous, grotesque?
Yeah, well, we put in the devil and an angel
the devil over here
next to each other.
All right.
To kind of show the battle
between good and evil?
Between cement and lime.
And we have another figure up here. Almost looks like a lion's head. I think it's a lion's head.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is. I think it's a demon.
A demon, okay.
Or it might even be the Green Man, because it's got little leaves coming out of its nose. So it is a Green Man.
Green Man. All right, now that's a popular thing here, the Green Man, which where we are, we really don't know much about the Green Man.
Sure.
So could you describe who the Green Man is?
Yeah, so the Green Man is the god that looks after everything in nature.
Okay.
Flora rather than fauna. So he brings the spring every year.
I love that symbolism.
Yeah, and there's a green woman as well, but we use the Green Man here. So the acanthus leaves, or whatever they are, coming out of his nose, the leaves that are coming out of his nose is the new birth, spring arriving, and he also symbolises rebirth and regeneration.
I know each one of these has their own story.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I don't know if we talked about yesterday, but the shell that you have, as far as the moniker for your company, the symbol, and you hide it somewhere in pretty much all your work.
Yeah, we do. Although it's not hidden in this room, it's on display.
It's on display.
Yeah. So the scallop shell is the symbol of the village where I was born, and where my children were born, and where we still live today. So it's the symbol of St. James. We live in a village called Deeping St. James, and it's the pilgrim symbol of the pilgrims that go to visit Santiago de Compostela in northern Spain, which is the burial place of St. James.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah.
But to incorporate your heritage with your work.
Yeah, exactly.
Know for future generations that you can leave your thumbprint, so to speak.
Yeah, well, the goal is that somebody will see a ceiling like this and say, "Oh, we know who did that because we've got a scallop shell on it."
Right.
We don't have to write our names.
An interesting tidbit is the Great Hall of medieval manor houses were originally heated by a central hearth in the middle of the room on a stone floor. There was an opening in the peak of the roof to allow the smoke to escape. Truth be told, this was not a very efficient way of heating or removing the smoke. So as time went by, stone fireplaces were added at the end wall of these great halls to properly control the fire and smoke. Now, let's hear Ben speak about the custom wood joinery that Jack Badger constructed and installed at this manor house. So just in this room, we have a lot of panelization, I guess, of the room itself. Could you describe what this material is made of and the process?
Yeah, so as we met Austin the other day, this is actually his timber. So all those explanations he was talking about, the medullary raise and the flatness of the panel, the sort of the grade of the panel material, needing to be very special for certain jobs. This is one of those jobs. It demands a panel that you need a specific aesthetic from and a specific stability. So that's what you're seeing here. We also glimpsed the design of this.
This is incredible. The coat of arms.
You saw the sort of the background of the design.
Yeah, I saw this back in April when I met Phillip for the first time, and one of your members of your team were here unboxing this. I'm like, oh, you guys just carved that up out of wood? It was incredible.
Yeah, it's actually the client's coat of arms as well. His family, so he's I think he's Czechoslovakian prince of lineage, and this goes back to the 1600s, I think, maybe even 1500s. I'm not sure. But yeah, and we've similarly to Philip taking the detail from this, kind of trying to get elements of the room to pull together.
Right.
Because this has been one of the more special rooms for us, partly because we got to work alongside Philip, as well as the fact that it is so. I mean, from the floor to the ceiling to the fires, it's an amazing, sort of like to be brought together like that. So we've pulled the same detail through from here, and it's in the ceiling as well.
Beautiful.
The other thing on these is that you can see around the top of the room these the flower details and the shields.
Yes.
So what we've worked with the client on, because as Philip said rightly, the client's an amazing client to work for in terms of he's so passionate about it, and nothing's too much effort. So he's done lots of research on the actual history of the building, and these all the shields are painted in only a set amount of designs, and those designs are the family shield designs of the people that have lived in this house over the years.
Wow, just keeping that heritage all
Yeah.
throughout the years,
Again,
incorporating it in.
Yeah, just to perhaps former occupants.
All right, I love that. There's a vast amount of paneling in here, which is, to me, pretty incredible. And I noticed that there's a whole bunch of pegs within your paneling.
Yeah.
Not screws.
Yeah, so we practice with our joinery. We practice a similar ethos and mindset to what Philip was talking about before. The beauty is in the irregularities, in the imperfections, and so rather than chasing a perfect finish, we don't. That's not honest to us. That's not how it should be in our minds. So we allow slight discrepancies between faces. In fact, we encourage it and we build it in. But part of our study days that we talked about in the workshop, where we go to a lot of. In fact, we were at Plasmore last Wednesday with a small team from the workshop, and that is where we go and look at the details. It's not just looking in a room and saying, "Oh, this is pretty."
Right.
You go in and you get under the hood and you get into the corners and you're looking at what were the peg finishes like? How much did they stick out? Were they softened? What were the moldings like? How did what are the nuts and bolts there? So that you can kind of do something that really does it justice.
Right.
Because this house, for me, this is the best house we've really worked on in terms of the sort of historical side of it. It's been amazing. So feel like you really need to make the effort and
Yeah, I know.
right.
The whole perimeter of the room, the whole panels, but you actually did the floor too.
We've done the floors, yes.
Now, what was this wood?
This is elm, so Gloucestershire. Oh, so yeah, this area is typically an elm area. So the thing with elm is it doesn't last very long. It's quite susceptible to beetles and to rot. So often it can be too damaged and get removed. So what the clients had to do is he spent, I think, 5 years maybe collecting as much.
So this is reclaimed wood.
This is all reclaimed wood. So 1600s.
So from the area, he did his research, accumulated this.
Yeah, he got it from us.
Of course, they are extremely wide boards to find this for a floor.
That was one of his main criteria. And I mean, particularly that one there, you can see.
Oh my gosh.
That's getting onto it.
So that's one, that's two, that's about 30 inches wide.
Yeah. It's an impressive wood, but because it had come from all over the place, and he collected it over 5 years from here, there, and everywhere. The putting together of it had to be a very considered process.
Right.
And we had to really, the first job, which myself and James came down, and we spent a week in a drafty barn with a mountain of old floorboards that just, in essence, looked like scrap because they weren't finished like they are.
Right.
So the first process was sifting through them. We had to grade them, so we had to sort of measure them, check they were elm, because there was a massive percentage that had been sold that wasn't. So, and by the end of it, I could pick up a piece of wood with my eyes closed and tell you whether it was elm or not. I got quite good at spotting elm. And we had to number it, we had to grade it, how nice it was, length, sizes, put it all into a spreadsheet.
Oh my gosh.
And then turn that into a plan for the house. So each room we then used, so we stacked them all up in the workshop, all numbered, and we had to go and get the boards. And we did as much of the fitting in the workshop as we could. So we mount the floor.
Yeah. The floor in the dimensions, right?
Yeah, exactly. On the floor in the workshop. And then we fitted it as much as we could, brought it down, and then we did the final fit here.
Yeah, because these boards are all different thicknesses and
different sort of quality, different grades. Some have got a lot of worm in them. There's quite a lot that needed patching. So again, on our historical trips, you go and you look at what was done, what was an acceptable thing to do, and we found lots of patches, whether they're small patches or long strip patches. So yeah, we've put it back together with as much love as we could, and as honestly as we could, based off what we've seen historically.
All right, now there's one thing that I do know about, which is a secret passageway to get into another room out of this room.
Can you find it?
I cannot find it. I've heard about it, but I wouldn't know where to look for it.
So one of the panels on here is a sprung panel.
A sprung panel, okay.
Yeah. So the idea is you press that there, and then on the back.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we make our own springs just out of some old saw blade.
Yeah.
So it's like a sprung steel.
Yep.
And then you'll bend it. You can't really work with it that much because you lose the temper. You lose the spring.
The spring.
But yeah, and she's gone.
That was a nice little secret.
Yeah. We also got this was something I've seen, again, one of our trips, the gold mouldings.
How'd you get that gilding?
So it's not, this isn't actually properly gilded. This is more of a paint based.
Okay.
Historically, they perhaps would have been more painted with a gesso, which flattens off the grain.
Okay.
Fills the grain, and then they would have gilded over the top of that. This was something that I've fancied doing for ages, and I took a bit of a risk, and I did a sample for the client and brought it down. I was like, what do you think to that? And he liked it and was like, yeah, let's go with it. And I love it. I think when you walk around and the sun catches it, it just glints as you go. It's not actually, you can't see it on a lot of it. If you're looking at it a certain way, you can't see it, but then when you move, it kind of glimmers around. So nice. It's a bit of a flex.
A little treat.
Yeah.
No, there's another thing here. I mean, you're looking at the window. It's a beautiful window. You have your shield ornamentation, but then you have incorporated shutters into the side here.
Exactly. Saves you
That's so cool.
Saves you having to get some
Now,
curtains made.
oh yeah, exactly. And they fall flat, so you don't even know they're there.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's these are. So you've seen. We met Bob.
Yes, Bob Garlick, the blacksmith.
And so this is a lot of this is Bob's work. And these are actually just rigid, so to make the because they're so thin. You can see how thin they are.
Right.
It's to add a bit of rigidity to the
door
so
itself.
they stay flat because if these start to cut,
Twist out. You want to see it?
whatever reason, and that could be because they're near the windows, so you might get a bit of an imbalance in the moisture on there.
Well,
Yeah.
incredible work.
Yeah.
Thank you for showing us all of this. And you as well, Philip?
Great. You're very
Showing all the work.
welcome.
It's incredible. Beautiful.
Thank you.
I love that the owner even let us come in here and take a look as well.
Yeah. That's.
One more thing.
it's a
How long have you
privilege.
guys known each other and been on this job?
I know we
6 years.
maybe 6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
It's been. I love meeting people who have got a like-minded attitude to it, to another trade.
Yeah.
We've had a lot. We might chat a bit too much when we get outside together, but it gets done eventually.
Yeah.
But, I mean, jobs like this room particularly, it was nice to. It was actually there was an element of crossover. So we were trying to, when we were surveying the room, we had to talk to Philip about where's everything, because it gets quite tight.
Yeah, because the irregular of the beams.
I mean, this corner of the room, this is just the nature of a 400, 500 year old part of the building. You're a couple of inches off the ceiling there, and in the other corner, it's maybe 8, 9 inches.
9 inches, right.
So you've got to, we had
You had to find a nice plane if you wanted to keep the same height.
Yeah, and without getting too wild with your design and rising all the paneling up into a corner,
Okay.
it wouldn't have been done like that. So
Awesome. All right.
Yeah, I think what's really nice
sorry.
about our relationship is that we have the same philosophy of approach. So we have a clean, simple philosophy where if we're using the same materials, tools and techniques as were originally used, we're not faking it. We're simply doing the work exactly as it would have been done in the 16th or 17th centuries.
yeah,
And we share that philosophy
absolutely.
and that honesty as you...
You can see that expressed in the work.
Yeah.
The outcome here. It's beautiful.
When we went to Plasmore on Wednesday, the lady really kindly, because she's very she's very interested in the education of lost skills and how can we encourage young people, which is again something that I'm definitely into, and Philip's training people up. You take on lots of students from America and from all over the place.
Yeah.
But she kindly let us into off season. She let us go in so we could go around and do the study that we needed. And I was trying to find a way of repaying her. She was kind of like, no, you don't need to do that. We won't take any money. So we've agreed with her that we're going to go back on their open season in the summer.
And Plasmall is what?
It's a listed building in the North of Wales.
Oh, North Wales. Okay.
Yeah, it's the ceiling. It's where the ceiling inspiration came from for the Elizabethan ceiling upstairs.
The vaulted ceiling. Okay.
So as part of the repayment of her kindness, we're going to go when they are open and set up in their courtyard and do a handmade project, much as what Philip's just said there, using only hand tools, not using any power tools, and then hopefully whatever we make, we'll put in there for them to have
for display.
It's not a fake. It's an honest thing that's been made the way it should have been made,
right? And
then they can have that with a little note on it to sort of.
And that should be filmed. So that can be like on a rolling display somewhere.
Yeah,
in the
totally.
visitor centre.
Yeah. So people can, because it's almost. I mean, we've been asked to do a few other things here, which we would quite like to document from a sort of. It's almost a historical experiment, like a architectural experiment, if you will.
Right.
Of going, okay, much of what Philip's been doing for the past 20 years. It's trial and error, a lot of it. It's not. There isn't a book somewhere telling you what to do, and there's no college you can go to say, "How do I learn medieval woodwork or medieval plastering?" It doesn't. It's not there. So we're trying to learn the techniques and learn the reasoning behind it.
I know, but I did see a lot of books in your house. Okay, so you do read a lot of books when it has to do with that work. And Philip as well. He's an expert, and he's gone through so many books.
Yeah.
So yeah. I want to thank Philip and Ben for taking time out of their very busy schedules to show us their intricate custom work. Now, let's take you back to where it all began. Ben grew up in a rural setting in Glossop, England, not very far from his current new 11,000 square foot workshop. Ben's dad is a stonemason by trade, so Ben was introduced to masonry early on in his life. But after a couple of wet and cold outdoor job site days with his dad, Ben quickly realized that stonemasonry was not for him. His dad is a true craftsman and has knowledge of woodworking as well. Ben witnessed his father craft whatever wooden project was required for their property. He saw this ability to craft what they needed out of wood, and he became very interested in how these items were put together. Both of his parents were very supportive of his passion and interest. As a result, Ben began to toy around with his father's tools in the hay barn and started to gain hands-on experience as a young man. His interest led him to formal educational training about wood joinery at a local school. He worked at a wood joinery company while going to school in order to get real-life experience. This is also where he met Rob, one of his current master carvers we showed you in part 2. Ben's father is a free spirit and entrepreneur in his own right. Ben witnessed firsthand that you could be in control of your own destiny, so he decided to give self-employment a go. His parents were extremely supportive of his dream and allowed him to use their hay barn in pursuit of it. So, let's visit the original workshop. And today we are with Ben Naylor at the original facility of Jack Badger, where it all started. So, Ben, you got to let me know, how long ago were you actually working in this facility?
3.5 years ago.
3.5 years ago.
We moved, yeah. Pretty
From
much.
there to the 11,000 square foot facility and then some.
Yeah, so now, just today coming back in, I've realised how small our brew room used to be. Like, we couldn't fit half our people in there now, so.
Okay, well, let's take a look inside. I mean, just the door alone. All right, you don't get to see a facility where you have a beautiful door like this. It actually exhibits their work. Let's make our way in.
You've got to put your money where your mouth is. We need to do a nice one for the new workshop now.
Right, that's true.
So this was the brew room. We used to have the table that's at the new workshop was down here, and we'd have all our toasters set up, and it's been, I've got loads of amazing memories from here, and I've lived in this is my family home, so I've lived here since I was 3, and that was part of the biggest decision for moving, or the biggest blocker for moving was, when you look down there and you're in this area and it's my family home, it's like, how do you go from this?
Yeah,
exactly, yeah.
Short commute.
Yeah. So thankfully, the place that we've moved to, which is only about 3 minutes down the road, is it has its own charm, and it's in just as nice a place.
So this was the area you would all eat?
Exactly, right? Yeah. So we've always had breakfast together. So we've always done 10 o'clock toast.
Coal stove?
Get the stove on, yeah.
This is so cool.
That's always been something we've that's been important to us as because a team is supposed to be a team. So so having some time when you can actually sit down and.
All right, you want to make our way into the...
Yeah, sure. Watch your head. It's a bit like my house. It's all low ceilings, so.
There's another nice door. representing some of the work they've put together?
Yeah, that's just. I mean, that door is really old. Actually, we did that door as just a trial for a design. You know, it's kind of when you're starting out and you want to find your flavour, if you will.
Right.
You've got to try a few different things, and you can't always find a customer who says, "Go on, then, yeah."
Yeah. Did you take a look at the store just to see the features? Got all the nails. I guess that show the affluence, right?
Yeah.
The nails. And this is oak as well, right?
Yeah. There's an unnecessary amount of nails in there from a construction point of view, but as you say, this was a way of showing
affluence.
A bit of wealth, affluence, and just using them as a part of the design and the pattern. So,
all right. So here we have all the machines.
Yeah, this is a little bit like a TARDIS, this workshop, because everyone who comes in here goes, they're expecting a tiny shed, and then before you know it, you're in here and it's kind of actually got quite a lot of space. Not as much as we've got down there. And the other thing is the really low ceilings. So
right, so you made it lift boards above your head.
It had a ceiling to it, this place, and we used it for as long as possible. And like, I feel very fortunate that I've been supported by my dad and my mum. Just, you know, they've helped. It's been tough, but it's been nice having that sort of support there.
Yes.
So, definitely,
we met Mr. Naylor a little earlier, and he is the salt of the earth, hardworking man.
Yeah, he's it's snowing outside, and he turned up in just a pair of shorts with no shoes on. So yeah,
Hardy makes a man's man.
He's a special man.
All right, so just want to walk around here.
Yeah, sure. So it was a lot tidier than this when we had it.
Because take a look right here. This is what your dad just made for someone here
for his
local?
grandson's primary school. Yeah, he you know, he still works as a stonemason, but he likes to have his little projects that he does for you know, community type
Put
stuff.
a little lead ridge on there.
Lead ridge, keep the
That'll
birds
last a long
dry.
time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when we were in here, it was because by the end there was, I think, 12 of us here. There's quite a lot of people for in quite a small space, so it had to be really well organised. So we had it very, very well organised, and everything was, you know, you cutting your scrap up, and there was no room for leaving a mess. So, yeah. So it's been stove. Yeah, we've gone through a few stoves, but
that was the heat. This area.
That is the heat for this workshop, and it's surprising. I mean, it's got low ceilings, but it's surprisingly efficient. Yeah. So we'd upend a bag of sawdust in there. You know how we've got the briquettes now.
Let's quickly go back to the main warehouse and see how these wood briquettes are made.
Which previously we used to have to take our big bags of sawdust, which are these ones here.
Right, but I just want to show everyone the collection system is the whole tube system here to come to this area, and this is where the bags are. Exactly.
So it blows. You've got filter bags on the top. It blows all of the waste sawdust into the bags at the bottom. Then you end up with this stuff.
Right. So it's all just shavings.
Yeah. Which is, you know, as it is there, it's kind of a useless thing. You can burn it, but it's messy, it's big, it's bulky. So we used to just give most of it to the local farmer, which he would spread in his cow pens to add to bedding. Yeah. Which is fine, but we used to have to spend time putting it in the van and taking it up there and yada yada. Right. It was always an unpleasant job. So now we've got this machine, which is a briquette machine. It's got a big hopper on the top.
Right, so all the shavings come in here.
We pour that in. We're gonna adapt this. It's been put here temporary while we've fixed up down there. So these things are always sort of like a, what's the word? You know, like they evolve.
Progress?
Yeah, they always evolve, and so the next step is to make a bigger hopper so that we can quickly put 3 or 4 bags in.
Just keep it feeding.
Exactly, yeah.
Right.
And then it's got a big screw thread at the bottom, which sends out the sawdust, and it turns them into.
So it just keeps compressing it and coming through here, and it comes right out here and
right
just keeps popping out.
Yeah. So it's almost. I mean, it makes me think of wooden coal. Which
that's
you know,
pretty cool.
That's not got any glue in it. It's not got any bond. It's just pressure.
That is crazy. How the heck did it stick together? Like,
it's amazing.
It's very hard to break this.
They burn amazingly as well. They do. They give out a lot of heat. So yeah. And we actually make a surplus of these. We played it kind of safe the first year, and we just stockpiled it. So we've got these big crates that we stack the bags in. And then we got to a point and we thought, do you know what? We've got quite a lot there. We'll try and sell a few. So I've got friends with the local stove shop, and he takes them off our hands and sells them to his customers. And and then we get to all the staff. As part of the little perk is they take home a bag of briquettes and a bag of firewood a week. That's our allowance, so we keep it fair for everyone.
That is nice.
We heat the workshop, we keep our staff happy, and we keep half of Glossop happy as well.
Now, let's make our way back to the hay barn.
This fire you can burn loose sawdust in. So you just put a stick in and pack it in, and then take the stick out, and that reaches the vents. And
that's so cool.
It's very good. We used to have more machines in here as well, but we've obviously taken a good few of them with us.
It's like a little project back there that you worked on.
That is, that's actually, that was the support board for the first award that we entered in for.
Oh, okay.
And unfortunately won as well.
You did one?
Yeah.
Win,
indeed.
Hand built to last. I love it.
Yeah, it's nice. It stayed there because it's a reminder of
where you were.
How because you evolve as a brand, but the sort of core beliefs have all stayed the same. Yeah. So it's just it's your professionalism and your sort of
I love it.
Your branding that changes, isn't it? What
motivates you when you walk in to take a look at it and say, okay. Those are some long clamps.
Yeah. We took most of them with us, but it's weird. We were still doing renovations to it as up to the point we left. So we'd only just got an actual toilet fitted in here just as we left, and we used to have to go outside and through the shed and into my dad's house for quite a while.
So how'd the material come in through that way, or?
So I'll show you where the material comes in. So when we first started, this used to be half a wall with a window in it, with a big glass pane. And so we'd have to, bearing in mind, this was probably, you'd bring in maybe 120 boards at a time. So we'd have to take the window out, put it to one side, pass the boards through, and then two of you would carry them over the machines like this, and then upstairs and store them upstairs. That was the only space we had.
Oh my God.
So you would get 80 cubic feet of oak.
Material.
And take it upstairs and store it there. Highly inefficient, but early on we were kind of we were just enjoying ourselves.
Great machines,
But then what we did was we invested in racking out this room over here and put some shutters in here. So then still most wagon drivers would turn up with our timber and go, "Where's your forklift truck?" And we'd just, there'd be 6 or 8 of us and go, well, we're just gonna, it's us, we're it, So we'd unload the wagons.
Here's the forklift.
Yeah, and all carry them in like ants, all carry them in, feed them through here. Someone would be in here taking them and stacking them. So I think that's been a really important part of our team and how we've become a team and how tight we are as a team, because that is basically team building every day. Yeah. Working in a small workshop is team building every day.
It's like rustic, rudimentary,
totally.
And you really bond through that process where you're handing me the material, I'm bringing it in, we're taking it off the truck with our hands, and wow, really connected to this.
Yeah, you can't beat that sort of, to help get a bit of patience with one another.
Right, yeah. So you got a fair amount of lumber here.
Indeed.
Still.
And then
got some big boards there.
Yeah, so they're mine. These are mine. That's kept to one side. But so this is the sort of tree that you won't see much of anymore. They're 1.2 meters wide.
Wow.
It's like oak plywood. It's like a sheet of plywood that's oak.
Incredible. That.
And I've got, I don't know,
fair amount.
8 of them.
Yeah.
My problem is I don't know what to do with them. They're too nice to use, so that's why they're still here.
Right. There'll be the right time, right moment.
They will.
Project.
The right thing will turn up. I thought of a few jobs at my house to do with them, but I can't do it. I can't bring myself to use them at the moment. So, but we've and then we also have. There's another floor to this, so I can show you where little Rob the carver used to work, and our officers were. So we used to have this was our main office in here. Again, like I said, we were renovating this as we came to it. So this was going to be the CAD office, the design office. You know, now it's just got loads of stuff in it. This was our main office. Now it's where I keep bikes and my surfboards. But yeah, there was at the end there was there was probably 4 or 5 of us in here as an office. You know,
love it.
So thankfully we moved. You know, the whole COVID sort of episode, we'd moved from here to the new workshop, which meant we could all spread out again, which allowed us to keep going.
Right.
But if we'd have been stuck here, we'd have been sat in the garden,
working on the space while working in the space.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We used to have this wall as a big whiteboard to try and do the scheduling
for the projects and scheduling. Yep.
So now all of our scheduling and production and everything is all on a single system now, which is good. You have to keep moving.
Amazing.
With the times. Little Rob the carver used to work, so his bench was on this side. And all those samples that you saw were all everywhere in here, so it was quite a different vibe to it as now. And then we also had another guy who rented a bench, who was a long case clock restoration specialist and finish specialist. So he used to be on that side as well. So
how many years were you here working?
How many years? Maybe 17.
Wow.
Years. So long enough.
So there's a lot of special memories.
A lot of history, a lot of memories. And it was really painful coming back when we'd moved. Because, you know, you move and you're somewhere new and it's all like exciting and different.
Right.
But then you come back here and you've got this memory of it being all bustling and nice and set up, and it was kind of empty and a bit like a ghost ship, and it was like, a bit sad. But, you know, you've got to keep moving, haven't you? So
yeah, you are progressing. I mean, more and more customers, beautiful work. The work is getting larger and larger as far as the different types of materials. The different types of projects you're working on, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, what type of projects did you primarily work on? Was it the same you're doing now?
Yeah, the limitation was the size. So we couldn't take on projects that were too big in scale. And so an example of that is we did a couple of rooms of paneling here, but everything had to be done flat pack. We couldn't set anything up. We just had to work off, you know, to be very accurate with our workings.
Right.
Which we still are, but you have the luxury down at the new workshop of being able to set components up if you need to and have full sides paneling. We couldn't really do stairs here because we did some stairs, but we borrowed a farmer's shed
so that you can
we could assemble it. So we made it all here, and then we went and set it up there. So I think with a small space comes more creative thinking for how to overcome problems.
Necessity is a mother of invention.
Exactly. And I actually, again, I think that's probably fed into our mindset quite nicely. You know, you don't realise all this at the time.
Yeah, I think it brings into that whole mindset is that you can do anything. There's nothing you can't do. You figure it out, and
anyone
you do
can do
and
anything.
it comes incredible. Right?
I think my dad was saying that last night in the pub, wasn't he?
Yes, he's the best.
Anyone can do anything. You just need encouragement and the opportunity.
Keep your head down. Keep working.
Yeah.
All right, want to walk through here?
Yeah. There's only one last little room. We've had quite a lot of. We're just putting a new roof on it for my dad at the moment, so he can start to bring some life back into it. He wants to rent some out, so I have to be careful turning lights on because some of them are full of water from a leaky roof. This was actually where the CAD office was.
Okay.
CAD and marketing. So Big Rob, the big hairy fella you met yesterday, he would have his desk there looking out of the windows, and in the summer, you know, you can open those windows fully, and quite nice, really.
Yeah, he must have loved it.
Quite nice. Like I say, it's when I think about all the jobs we've done here, it's like, yeah. So this since we've moved out, my dad started to put more dividing walls in so he can portion it up, and that wall never used to be there. This was part of the actual workshop. So there was a big bench here. I think the lads called it Bench Royale. That was the name of it. So it's been great, but
I love the chickens.
Changed. Yeah, well, you know, it means you get fresh eggs every day, and yeah, it's good. And they do like coming in the workshop though, so.
Because it's warm?
I guess so. They're just also very nosy.
Oh, really?
But yeah,
Love
so.
it.
And we've had cade lambs, which do you know what a cade lamb is?
No.
It's an orphan lamb.
Oh.
So where the mother's died. And my friend who's a farmer over the road, we've, as from being little to grown up, we've took a couple, bottle fed them to get them to the point where they eat grass, and then we tether them in the garden. So it's like our lawnmower.
Yeah, right.
Became
your pets as well.
We might have eaten them. But the last two we got, no one could do it. So we gave them back to the farmer. So, but yeah, it's been good. I mean, they would come in here and run around as well a bit if you didn't watch yourself. So
love it.
Yeah, it's been good.
That's a nice little old bench.
Yeah, that's
Is that part of the original?
It's
workings.
It's not. No, we actually got a house clearance of an old joiner.
Okay.
That unfortunately passed away, and his executor wanted all of his stuff to go to somewhere that was going to respect it and use it. So so we went down and we worked out what was a fair price for it and sorted out the money
we
for
meet
it.
a lot of people like that, where they have the tools of their trade for all the years and they want to pass on to someone who's actually going to use it.
Yeah. Awesome guy.
I'm sure you are all impressed as to what it took to create Jack Badger. Ben started and ran this business out of his parents' rustic hay barn for 17 years before moving into his current location. As you have learned, Jack Badger relies on teamwork to build their custom products. Ben has fostered this environment through encouragement, mentorship, and even eating meals together. Witnessing passionate people craft this bespoke work out of natural wood creates a tangible connection between nature and the built environment. This is what wood, stone, and steel is all about. A more human way of building, a more human way of living. Be sure to be on the lookout for our next episode, where we will introduce you to Elizabethan and Jacobean Plastering by Phillip Gaches of Gaches Plastering. We will take a deeper dive into the plasterworks of the Manor house you just saw in the Cotswolds, as well as a real-life class about this type of plastering at a project in Sandwich. No, not that type of sandwich.